Hello and welcome once again to my YouTube channel. My name is Vinod and I am back after a long time to review a new book. The name of the book I am going to review today is Messiah Modi. There is a question mark. It's not Messiah Modi, it's Messiah Modi, written by Tavleen Singh, columnist for the Indian Express. Before I review this book, I would like to take 2 minutes to talk about Tavleen Singh as a journalist. Tavleen Singh is a regular contributor to the newspaper Indian Express, and those of us who have been reading Indian Express since last 8-9 years know that Tavleen Singh as a journalist has evolved. She has gone from being Modi Bhakt to being a Modi better, if I can use this phrase. In the earlier avatar, we witnessed a Tavleen Singh who had sacrificed her critical voice and her faculty to critique government and government policies at the altar of Modi Bhakti. Post 2019, we have seen Tavleen Singh who cannot think that Modi government can do anything good. She has nothing positive to say about this government. So from Tavleen 1.0 to Tavleen 2.0, we have seen a lot going on. We have seen Tavleen Singh being disenchanted, going from being a fanboy of Modi to being a disenchanted observer of Indian politics. This book is divided into 14 chapters, and all chapters talk about different issues. But there is one thing that I would like to talk about, that though there are 14 different chapters, but this book is not linear. It is not written linearly. She keeps going back to the earlier issues, then she talks about something which she mentions in the chapters that are yet to come. So in short, this book is chatty. This book is written in a conversational style, the way we have conversation with our friends. So this book is highly engaging. It is not written in a formal language. It is not written, there is no hard demarcation between the chapters. You can jump from one chapter to another and yet you will be able to relate the story she is telling. So this is the strength of the book. It is highly engaging. But what are the drawbacks of the book? There are quite a few drawbacks. Number one, as a political commentator and as a political journalist, the one thing you have to ensure is that when you are critiquing a government, you should be bringing objectivity into your work. Tavleen Singh fails completely in doing this, in bringing objectivity in her criticism of the government. Second, this book, the critique of Modi government, is built on anecdotal evidences. We do not get any data, we do not get any statistic, we do not get hard evidences against Modi government. What we get is conversation between Tavleen Singh and her friends at high places and at low places. What we get in terms of evidence is Tavleen Singh's conversation with her factotums, her driver, her maidservant, etc., etc. And what else we get? We get Tavleen Singh's idea of economy, we get Tavleen Singh's idea of politics, but when it comes to presenting evidence, we get almost nothing. So these are the drawbacks of the book. Third drawback is that Tavleen Singh, it feels when you read the book, is taking revenge on Modi and Modi government for not reissuing visa to her son. And why I am saying this, though this is a personal comment and I should have refrained from saying this, but it does feel like that. Why I am saying this? Look, Tavleen Singh is the same journalist who we saw as a cheerleader for Modi government. 2014 up till 2019, Tavleen Singh thought and believed that Modi is the best thing that could have ever happened to this country. Now, even those of us who were hardcore supporter of Modi and his style of governance cringed when we read her article in the Indian Express. She was never critical. She refused to, raise question even on issues that we thought needed to be raised by journalists, be it the lynchings, be it the demonetization, anything. She always came with an explanation. She always tried to explain these drawbacks of Modi government away. She always used to say that Modi has the best intention for this country, but there are people in his government who and they are trying to bog his government down by creating controversies, the lynchings, the anti-minority sentiment that all of us saw rising to fever pitch during Modi's first term. Post 2019, we see Tavleen Singh, who believes that Modi cannot do anything good. Now that is also sacrificing of objectivity. It's not that Modi is a demigod, and it is also not true that Modi is a monster. So Tavleen Singh, in her first phase as a Modi Bhakt, she believed that Modi is a demigod. In her second avatar, Tavleen Singh believes that Modi is almost a monster. Now this is dealing in extremities, and this is what I say, a very bad way of conducting your journalism. So as a journalist, to my mind, and it's a personal opinion, to my mind, Tavleen Singh has failed as a journalist while covering Modi. In his first term, Tavleen Singh saw only good things. She was putting a spotlight on only strength of Narendra Modi and trying to wish away all the drawbacks of the government. In his second term, Tavleen Singh is focusing only on the negativities and trying to unsee that is good about this government. So this is the third drawback of this book. Now let me talk about the different chapters in little detail. I will not be giving you a comprehensive chapter-wise review, but I will talk about important chapters in little detail so that you have an idea what kind of book is this, and should you be willing to pay 350 rupees to buy this book on Amazon. And there are 14 chapters. These chapters talk about different issues. So for example, the first chapter talks about Modi phenomenon, Har Modi, how the Modi brand was built over a period of time, how Modi was popularized among the masses in this country, and how Modi succeeded in hoodwinking people into believing in his infallibility. Well, these are not her exact words, but it comes very close to capturing the essence of what she is saying. There is a chapter on demonetization. Chapter number 8 is on demonetization. There is a chapter on abrogation of Article 370. There is a chapter on lynching. There is a chapter on how India has started being a pariah state. Again, these are not her words, but I am paraphrasing her. How India has, mishandled so many things, right from COVID to economic situation in this country. So these are the chapters that talk about different issues plaguing our country at this point of time. Now let me talk about the important chapters and flaws and also the strength in these chapters. I would like to first talk about chapter number 8, demonetization. I am picking on this chapter because it says more about Tavleen Singh than it says about the Modi government and its shock and awe policy that it adopted during the demonetization. Tavleen Singh in 2016, on 8th of November 2016, when the government announced that it was going to ban currencies of 500 and 1000 denomination, Tavleen Singh didn't have much criticism to offer. We had the facts even at that time. We knew that 86% of Indian currency, they are in 500 and 1000 rupees denomination. Why is it that Tavleen Singh at that time could not wrap her head around such a simple economic fact? Why she could not understand that demonetization was going to wreck Indian economy in long terms? Why she could not understand that people who will be hit hard, they will be coming from lower strata of the society, housewives, daily wage earner. At that point of time, she had only good things to offer. That Modi government's intention is to catch all the black money hoarded in the Indian economy, and it is a good move. How is it that post 2019 you realize that that particular move of Modi government was a disaster and economically it didn't make sense? Why you could not understand all such simple things when things unfolded in 2016? The simple explanation is that in 2016 you had a very good, you had a very good personal equation with Narendra Modi, and because you had a personal equation with him, you found it little wrong to criticize him in your columns. But this reveals something about you, that you are not dispassionate in your criticism. All the facts that you have given against demonetization post 2019, all those facts are absolutely true, bang on dot. My only issue is that the same facts should have been brought to light in 2016, which you failed. This is my only, not grudge, but this is my only issue with you, that you will speak against someone's policy, flawed policies, only if you fall out of favor with that person. That's point number one. Point number two, Tavleen Singh talks about her own background. She says that why did I support Narendra Modi in 2014, and she gives again anecdotal evidences. She says that I came from very elite family. I was born and brought up in Lutyens, Delhi. I was surrounded with people who were fluent in English and who went to the best schools in India and who went to best colleges abroad. And what I found about them was that they were not only dismissive, but also these were the people who also demeaned people who came from the other India. What is other India? Other India is second tier cities, villages, and so on and so forth. So I supported Narendra Modi because he represented the other India where people were not fluent in English, the other India where people did not have exposure to globalization and the international market and what was happening globally. I supported Narendra Modi because he, through nothing but his hard work, was able to pull himself out of poverty and hoist himself on the people of India. If not hoist, then you can use the word, he was able to make his presence felt. So it was the hard work of people from lower class of the society, and that made me his admirer. I hated people who came from the Latvian elite and thought that they had a divine right to rule this country. I believed in democracy. I'm a Democrat by nature. So when Modi made his presence felt, I thought that this is the best thing that could ever happen in democracy, that a boy coming from the lower strata of the society, through his hard work, is now going to be swept into Prime Minister's office. And that turned me in favor of Narendra Modi. But when she says this, she also betrays, not features, but she betrays character of coming from very elite societies. People who come from elite societies, elite families, they have a tendency to patronize people. Okay, I am the Raja, you are coming from the lower class, pat on your back, get up guy, and I will cheer for you. This is a very patronizing tone. Second, what you say about your elite family and your elite society that you are coming from. You say that this elite family, the elite society you are coming from, they had incestuous relation with the power that be. There was incestuous relation between powerful peoples, industrialists, people from the entertainment industry, people from politics, and these people ensured that the other India was left where it was while you guys built a very luxurious life for yourself. You also said, which Tavleen Singh talks about her personal life, her upbringing, that the society that I am coming from was disdainful of people coming from the other part of the countries. They believed in their hegemonic power. They had the divine right to rule. But when you read the book, you find that Tavleen Singh betrays the same characteristic. She is not on good terms with Modi. Your personal equation is now gone. So the moment your personal equation is gone, you will turn against the person. This is what you were talking about when you talked about incestuous relation between powerful people and people from other powerful background, that they came together to ensure that the other people were kept at a hand's distance, at bay. And you talked that how they traded favors with each other. Personal relation, everything was built on personal relation. Now you are exactly doing the same thing. You had a personal relation with Narendra Modi, you were in favor of him, you talked up in laudatory terms, you had no criticism to offer, but the moment you fell out with him, you see no positive things about it. So again, even when you are criticizing your own elite background, you are not able to come out of that mentality yourself. To praise a person, you need to have personal relation. That is the takeaway from this book, that if I will have a personal equation with someone, I will be praising that person. If I won't have personal relation, I will not be praising. Example number 2, she talks about Sonia Gandhi and the reasons she gives for falling out with Sonia Gandhi. Again, it is personal. I could not get along with Sonia Gandhi, not because of ideology or not because of my way of thinking, but because of family issues. We collided. The person with whom Tavleen Singh is living together, live-in partner, Prakash is the name. He was trying to build a town in Pune called Lavasa, and Sonia Gandhi refused to give permission for that township to be built. And because Sonia Gandhi refused to give permission for Lavasa to be built, Tavleen Singh falls out with Sonia Gandhi, and I am no longer on talking terms with her. These are her words. So again, in criticizing Sonia Gandhi, you bring that personal element, that I am no longer on talking terms with Sonia Gandhi because she refused to give permission for Lavasa to be built, and Lavasa was being built by my live-in partner. So this is not a kind of criticism. This is grudge. This is personal grudge. This is family feud. I am not looking forward to watching or seeing or reading about family feud when I am reading a book written by a journalist. I want objectivity. I want criticism of Sonia Gandhi on ideological points. I want to see criticism of Sonia Gandhi on her policies, the so-called socialist policies that pushed India backwards. I want to see criticism of Sonia Gandhi and Congress party on these terms, not on personal level. So this is the problem with this book. Again, when you come to see Tavleen Singh's interpretation of Modi government's style of functioning, then you see that she keeps bringing the personal element. Lynching, she never spoke about between 2014 and 2017 at least, but when her son was denied visa, she all of a sudden discovered that the Muslims in India, the biggest minority in India, they were being marginalized by this government deliberately. So why is it? A question comes to your mind, that why is it that all of a sudden you discover that Muslims were deliberately being marginalized by the Modi government? What was the reason for your discovery of this phenomenon that was unfolding since 2014? The reason for your discovery was your son being denied visa. Again, there is no objectivity in this entire process of discovering the marginalization of Muslim community in India. You turned against the government and you realized that Muslims were being marginalized. They were being if not physically, then at least mentally and emotionally tortured by Modi government when your own son was denied visa because his father was a Pakistani. So again, there is no objectivity. This book has some strength, as I talked about earlier. It engages you. It is not written in a linear fashion. It is not that it progresses from one point to another. She keeps going back and forward when talking about different issues. This is the biggest strength. You won't have to put too much of effort to go through the book. The book is of 238 pages. You will be able to complete it in 6 hours. So in 2 sittings you will be able to complete the book. But this book is riddled with many flaws. Flaw number 1, the entire book is written from a personal point of view. As I said, there is no objectivity. Tavleen Singh betrays lack of objectivity. She is not capable of being dispassionate when she is talking about flaws and strengths of a government. She has to see everything through the prism of personal loss and gain. That's the biggest flaw of this book. Second, what is the biggest flaw? The book is also contradictory sometimes. What she praised in 2016, she turns against the same thing after some time. Why? Not because data and evidences have changed, but because her personal relation with the government has changed. Third, when you are looking for evidence, that what are the evidence for this criticism, what you get is anecdotal evidence. When I was having a conversation with one of my friends at Taj, and you say, oh please, I'm not willing to listen to all this, excuse my language, but bullshit. I don't care what your friend says holding a glass of champagne in Taj Hotel. I want hard facts. Where are the hard facts? When I was having a conversation with my driver who comes from a district in Uttar Pradesh, he said that Modi government has not done much for my village. This is paraded as evidence of Modi government's failure to reach villages. Well, madam, one driver cannot be representative of all the people living in villages in India. Third, how shall we believe you that your driver said this? Or even if we believe that your driver said this to you, what we can come to conclusion is that your driver knows that you have fallen out of favor with the Modi government, and he will not be willing to say anything that might be sympathetical to Modi government. So these are the things, these are the points that make you wonder if she is willing to critique a government and its policies dispassionately or not. And the answer is unequivocal no. She is not capable of critiquing the government on facts with evidences. In each and everything, she has to bring in personal anger. And it feels that this book is a work of revenge. A journalist has fallen out of grace with the government. A journalist has no longer access to the Prime Minister, and he or she takes revenge by giving expression to his or her anguish. Second, the last thing that I would like to talk about is some of the things that she does in this book baffled me. For example, when she's talking about the personality of Modi, the one thing she talks about again and again is his eyes. I looked at his eyes and he glared at me. His eyes, they were impenetrable. His eyes spooked me. His eyes were cold. Now, are these facts? Are these evidence? Are you going to criticize a politician or anyone based on the fact that his eyes or her eyes were cold, impenetrable? He glared at me. This is not the way to criticize, or this is not the way to critique someone. So if you ask me how is this book, I will call it revenge pornography. Why I am using the word pornography? Remember, pornography is described as something you know when you see it, but you cannot describe it. So this book is, you know when you read it, but it is difficult to describe it because there are so many personal elements in it. Why is it a revenge pornography? We all know that what is revenge pornography. When jilted lovers, or when lovers who have fallen out with their exes, when they are shown the dough, they go and post their personal videos on pornographic channels, and this is their way of taking revenge. So this is a revenge pornography. Revenge because it's too personal in tone. The book is too personal in tone. Pornography because you know it when you read it, but you cannot describe it. So what is my verdict on this book? It's a book of rant. If you want to buy this book to understand about Modi and his style of functioning, you are going to get nothing, next to nothing. If you want to read this book just to improve your language, क्या होता है यार, 238 pages, even if I don't learn anything, I will learn, half a dozen or a dozen or a score of new English words. My dear friends, here too she fails completely. She uses chatty English, and the only word that you might struggle in understanding is a North American word, caboodle. That is the only word for which you may have to reach out to dictionary. So I will not suggest you to spend 350 rupees on Amazon just to learn one word. So if you want to know about Indian politics, this book is not the right book. If you want to improve your language by going through 238 pages, कि कुछ नहीं सीखेंगे तो English आ जाएगी, नहीं, वो भी नहीं होता है. So my verdict is, if you get this book for free of cost, read it to pass your time, but at every other level this book fails. That's my verdict. Next time I will be reviewing a new book. It's a memoir by a man called Veer Sanghvi. His memoir is called A Rude Life, the memoir. So in next video I will review this book, this memoir by this memoir of Veer Sanghvi. Till then, take care. Bye bye for now.